I can't. Well, wait, I don't understand. What are you talking about?
So I can either give you a bank draft, or if you're gonna get cash, I will need an invoice for the car purchase.
Why? No, I'd like to. It's for the car's payments for in cash. I can't use a bank draft.
Are you buying from like a private?
Yeah, it's private. It's literally from my friend.
From your friend?
Yeah, but he wants it in cash.
Can he give you like anything that you're purchasing from him?
No, I don't. You don't need that, bro. What is it? I'm only asking for 3. What is this? It's my money. I'm allowed to withdraw from my own bank account.
Yeah, so I can.
You said that. What's the maximum limit you can give a withdrawal to a customer? It's $3,000 on the date. You've already mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah, not today.
Why not today?
Today I would need a bank draft, or I would get you invoice.
But why you don't? You need proof of what it is. Why is that? And why is that? Why is that? Why do you need? Why do you need me to tell you what it is? Why do you need? What kind of proof is that? I bring in a note. Like what? How is that? What is that going to change? I don't understand.
So that would
You need to give my money.
buying.
I'm not taking a bank draft. I would like cash, please.
Yeah, I won't be able to give you cash today.
Okay, wait. I'm just going to sit here until you give me cash. So I'm not going to leave.
Okay, well, if you want, we can have a sit there.
And then do what? Who am I waiting for?
I can get the manager to talk to you.
Well, yeah, get the manager because
Yeah,
this is
you wanna
like
have a
it's
sit there?
unbelievable.
Oh, you think that's your money inside of your own bank? Cute. Not under this totalitarian, technocratic police state, slave, is what she should have said, and it would have been a more honest of a statement. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Radowski here of wearechange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely wild and crazy news to get into today as we have the start of a major trial in New York City of the former president of the United States that will actually interfere in his campaigning. All of this as the situation in Australia gets very dangerous for the local population there that is now fighting each other and police officers in the streets after a horrific attack that plays off a lot of the sectarian violence that is growing and expanding and probably will be even more with the conflict in the Middle East that probably is not over yet and will be expanding with a larger response against Iran soon. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was actually from Canada, a place where people have very little liberty, very little freedom, and a man who tried to get around 2,000 American dollars out, equivalent of nearly $3,000 Canadian, was refused because the banking lady needed proof to see where his own money was going. Yes, that's the type of Orwellianness. That's the type of top-down centralized control that is happening in Western societies all around the world that are trying to become more cashless, more authoritarian. As of course, you could do private things with your cash that you can't with your credit card. That can be tracked, traced, database, know your footsteps, know where you're going, and create predictive programming, artificial intelligence, algorithms, and databases on you that tell the state everything about you and also very conveniently could tax you without even your consent. Cash, you can't do that with that, as it's an enemy against the state and Federal Reserve banksters that really don't like you having any kind of freedom, that really don't like them not getting a cut from every single transaction that you do on this face of this earth. This as the state has been heavily focusing on political prosecutions, which is happening to the first ever criminal trial of the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, right now in New York City, as he is facing charges related to hush money, related to some private matters that he was involved in that really, honestly, shouldn't really concern anyone. I mean, this is like the personal life of people who are rich and famous, which a lot of people love to obsess about, a lot of people love to talk about, ever since the Bill Clinton era, as these matters don't really have an effect on anyone's lives at all. Other than, of course, the gossip industry, as the former president of the United States is facing 34 charges of falsifying business records in order to, quote, cover up $130,000 allegedly given in hush money payments to Stormy Daniels after an alleged affair. An affair that, not surprisingly, probably involved other women, which the court is now alleging As we're also getting reports that the judge in this case has announced that Donald Trump has to be in the courtroom every single day for the duration of this criminal trial, and that, quote, if he doesn't show up, he will be arrested. This during one of the key, most important moments of the election cycle, where Donald Trump is now being prevented from campaigning and literally told to sit in a courtroom where jury selection could take up to 2 weeks at least. A jury of people in New York City that overwhelmingly are Democratic and probably will let their political bias show in this larger trial that, in my opinion, is absolutely interfering in this upcoming presidential election, as local and federal governments have been going after the former president of the United States, as well as his associates, as well as his lawyers, as well as his top supporters, while they've been neglecting a lot of other important real things that are happening here in this world that probably should have been investigated a lot earlier, just like the Baltimore bridge collapse, which the FBI announced today that they're officially launching a criminal probe into. This as they're now trying to find out if the 22-man crew knew that the larger shipping container ship had any problems before it left port, before it crashed into the bridge, taking the lives of 6 individuals. This as, of course, there's a lot of other problems on the horizon with an open border, with diseases spreading, with even more now reports coming in of a dozen states quarantining their cows in order to halt the spread of bird flu, which very conveniently the U.S. government was working with the Chinese government with just a few weeks ago, trying to figure out how to, of course, do gain-of-function research with it in order to weaponize it and make it as lethal as possible. This is now 18 states have placed restrictions on cattle movement, as states like New York have even warned residents to keep their distance away from wildlife, as politicians in Washington, D.C. are setting their sights on giving away more of your money to foreign conflicts that, of course, endanger the world and keep us that much closer to absolute destruction and oblivion. As the Daily Mail today is also reporting how the Speaker of the House is facing, quote, a huge test in order to pass a $95 billion aid package to Israel and Ukraine that have been combined together, as the pressure is mounting on Congress to act as the military-industrial complex demands their pound of flesh and also your money that they want to take from you for their own personal kind of enrichment and personal benefit. So yeah, that's happening. This says now, after the latest events in the Middle East, many politicians believe that they're going to be able to pass this bill, which conveniently also is linked and connected to funding to the Ukrainian proxy conflict, which, again, would cease and stop and lead to less life loss if we were just financing this international global conflict. This as the Senate has already passed a $95 billion foreign aid package, as zero of that money is going to the border, zero of that money is going towards the American people, zero of that money is going to any kind of legitimate help or assistance to the poor people struggling to survive here, as some in Congress even threaten the removal of the Speaker of the House if this bill passes through, as a lot of people are coming out and saying that the Speaker of the House is, quote, compromised. Is he? We will see. As, of course, one thing that is not compromised is, of course, LukeUnfiltered.com, our own quasi secret society where we do really cool, awesome things, including touching grass, as, of course, we are now organizing 2 nature hikes, one here in Miami, Florida, this upcoming Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and another one a week after that one on April 28th, 1 p.m. local time, Austin, Texas, where we will go to a really beautiful park and walk around and touch grass and get to know each other and, of course, talk to each other. You can be a part of that hike just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. You also get the ability to call into our live show, a live show that had some really incredible individuals on, and we have some really awesome people coming on our show, as we're going to be doing a live show this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern, and you could be a part of that show, as you could call in just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. You get access to a special Telegram group, and you get the ability to call in live to the show. Take advantage of that if you're a member. We got a lot of fun things going on for members, master classes, a forum, members-only t-shirt store, a crap list of items you should be avoiding at the supermarket, seed oil carts to hand over at your favorite restaurant, you name it. We got it all here on lukeunfiltered.com, including 10 plus years of exclusive behind-the-scenes videos centered around making you the happiest, healthiest, most strongest version of yourself, all through the information that we share on lukeunfiltered.com. So if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Also, check out wearechange.shop. By the way, we just got our essential fatty fish oil totally out of stock unless you did a subscription. We no longer have this available to you. We do have a lot of the chill pills that we just re-upped on. This is the first product that we started to work with. Check out wearechange.shop. Take the chillpill.com, especially if you're looking for healthy hormone levels, good energy levels, elevated mood. As of course, shopping on wearechange.shop also supports this independent media organization and its larger ventures and all the really cool things that we have planned for you guys in the future. As of course, we're going to have another video for members right after this one, as we are not done here. As of course, internationally, there's a lot of very horrific, horrible news coming from Australia, where riots are erupting right now after a lunatic with a knife went after a bishop in the middle of a church sermon in Sydney. An attack captured on video that, of course, we will not be playing here in this particular broadcast. As a young man dressed in a dark hoodie literally walked up to him and started to viciously attack him with a knife. All broadcast live to the church's YouTube page, which, of course, is now being shared around wildly all over the internet, sparking a lot of horror, sparking a lot of outrage, as hundreds of people have decided to gather in protest against this larger attack, as police officers have set up barricades, as protesters have been seen screaming and chanting an eye for an eye, bring him out, demanding that the young man who committed this attack be given to the mob. This highlighting an absolutely awful, horrible situation, but a situation that is definitely enraging different religious groups and sects of individuals against each other, which is extremely dangerous, especially in hindsight of, history. As political differences are very divisive, religious differences are very tumultuous. As of course, history tells stories of religions fighting each other. And with this riot following this larger attack on this religious figure, highlights a situation that surely could grow and expand from here and become very dangerous for the local populations and different religious sects that could, of course, be potentially attacking each other very soon. As we're getting video of allegedly nearly 5,000, quote, angry Australian Christians, highlighting people who are clearly frustrated, who are clearly angry, and clearly not listening to police officers, which they, of course, refuse to follow the orders of. This, as immigration has also become a very divisive issue for many parts of the Western world, as, of course, there are many reports of a lot of religious fundamentalists and also criminals potentially making their way across the southern border of the United States, as there are organized gangs that are committing crimes inside of the United States that are literally allowed into the United States without even proper identification checks. In Ireland, there was a big protest against mass migration, as here domestically inside of the United States, there were major protests against America's #1 ally in the Middle East, Israel, as protesters have recently blocked O'Hare Airport, as passengers were forced 20 minutes to walk to the airport terminal, as these protests are being coordinated in other places of the United States, like the Golden Gate Bridge in California, that also is at a standstill right now because of protesters demanding a ceasefire inside of Gaza. This, as the United States has been playing an integral role in this larger conflict, absolutely not just financing it, but providing a lot of the military hardware for Israel to conduct their larger military offensive inside of Gaza and soon Rafah. As the United States also helped Israel destroy 80 drones and 6 missiles launched at Israel from Iran and Yemen, as the Biden administration has been facing a lot of criticism for their outright support of Israel and also facing a lot of criticism from the Israelis for not supporting them enough. This, as very recently we have been met with a very crazy situation where many people believed we were on the brink of a global conflict inside of the Middle East, as it looks like slowly that tensions are easing up after it came out that Iran largely was doing a symbolic retaliatory strike against Israel that led to no loss of life. This as Iran actually told Israel and the United States that they would be launching these very specific attacks. They sent in very small payload slow drones. This as Iran today just lifted their suspension on domestic and international flights from its capital, as the state-run news organizations there are, quote, reporting a signaling of return to stabilization for now, as there is still some potential consideration from Israel about launching their own retaliatory strikes against Iran for their retaliatory strikes that they originally conducted against this Iranian embassy inside of Syria. This as we are getting reports that the Israeli War Cabinet is considering to, quote, go big against Iran, as there are multiple reports of the Biden administration and the United States specifically telling them not to do this. Will the Israelis listen here? Well, it looks like they are now currently deliberating their next move and action here, as the rhetoric by some Israeli government officials is very hyperbolic, as they are announcing that they could potentially be launching, quote, crushing attacks that would escalate the situation in order to, of course, deal with the larger threat that they see as Iran. As CNN is also reporting today that Israel has been delaying their offensive in Rafah, as there is a, quote, heated debate about how to respond to Iran, as some people are talking about potentially launching cyber attacks. There's other news here and statements from the IDF specifically talking about how they are going to be doing some kind of offensive and defensive action at the same time, that allegedly already has been authorized and will be done in some way or fashion in the next upcoming days. Now, does Israel have to respond here? Well, no. Israel kind of attacked Iran first. Iran responded by, of course, symbolically launching, these missiles that were overwhelmingly intercepted and didn't do anything. So does Israel need to respond here, according to my own personal opinion and perspective on this complex geopolitical matter? No. And they shouldn't, as of course, if they do decide to airstrike Iran right now, Iran will, of course, be forced to respond, and there is a larger chance of a catastrophic war unfolding in the region that would, of course, endanger not just the safety of all the people in the Middle East, but the safety of all the people in the world, as, of course, there's a lot of different alliances. But more importantly, if there was a larger Israeli-Iran attack, you could bet your bottom dollar that a lot of the religious and sectarian divisions in this country would be played up upon. And with an open southern border, with divisions not only very clearly made through politics, but now religion, you could bet your bottom dollar that what we're seeing unfolding right now in Australia probably will be unfolding all throughout the Western world, specifically the United States, that is integral towards supporting and financing this larger Israeli defensive and offensive operation that they might or might not be launching soon. Now, with that, I think there's a lot to consider here. There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of American people at odds with each other, politically and religiously, that of course, shouldn't be motivated to hate each other, to attack each other, to see each other as different. But as we've detailed and documented for many years now, there is a larger divide and conquer agenda, whether deliberately organized or not. It is there, it is clear, and it is setting us on a pathway where there's a lot of differences that sadly can't be amended, as there are some sociopathic, crazy individuals within our government that just want to see the world burn, as they're calling for a larger war that would absolutely enrage and endanger local populations of the Western world, especially with an open border, especially with a mass immigration program that is telling people to come on in, as different religions, different cultures are at odds with each other. And hopefully, God willing, those differences won't be exploited by central controllers, politicians, and the intelligentsia that will be playing it off against each other. If all goes well, there won't be any further escalations in the Middle East. If all goes well, we could learn to live with each other and our religious and cultural differences and be at peace with each other. But there also might be a deliberate plan and agenda to play off all of those things against each other in order to sow more chaos and division in our society that some central controllers and elites would benefit from. Which one of these possibilities do you think is true? Let me know down in the comment section below. As of course, we got one more video coming your way on lookunfiltered.com right now, and we're doing another special broadcast 6 p.m. Eastern later on today on this particular YouTube channel. 2-hour live podcast. Be a part of it. Sign up to lookunfiltered.com. Call in, and we will see you there right after this broadcast. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.